take 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes or whatever. John wanted to talk a little bit about high adventure. We know all the normal stuff, you know, Philmont, Boundary Waters and that, but is there any high adventure that you guys have been on, or high adventure trips even at Philmont or that, where you ran into bears? You know, when I went to Philmont as a kid, we had a bear get our bear bag at 5 in the afternoon. We packed everything in. We went down, it was a layover day. We were going down to get our dinner. Everything was set, you know, daylight and everything. We figured it was fine. As we were walking down to the cabin to get our dinner, someone mentioned that there was a bear in the area. You should go back and hang up your bear bag. And we weren't gone more than 5-10 minutes out of our campsite. We came back and there was just a trail of food going up into the woods. And we walked up in there and there's this big old brown bear just ripping the burlap bag open and just eating our, I mean, we weren't from here to Tim away with our pots and pans, you know, making noise and all that. And told my brother to let me know if he moves. I'm gonna go get my camera. And I turned around and took 2 steps and the bear must have just kind of resituated, but you know, everyone ran off like he moved and they never went back. But you know, it was an experience because the next day we had to hike down to another resupply station on our day off to get another 3 days worth of food from them. But you know, it was just, that's how fast it happened. You know, the camp, it was a layover, there was a lot of people around, we just started hiking down to the cabin to get our dinner, a chuck wagon thing, and you know, there was a bear lurking that close, so that was an experience.
It's because he knows where the food is.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and you probably heard of the pots and pans, and he's like, oh, whatever. Another one, just last, well, it was a year ago, next month, kayaking down the, yeah, I'm telling our story. Kayaking down the Fox River from Waterford to Burlington. It was right after the snow melt and all that, and the river was running at 3 times normal, 1,400 cubic feet per second through the dam. There's a dam at Rochester. We're kayaking. Well, first off, as we were loading up when we were getting out, you know, bring some dry clothes and bring all this, and I'm like, you know, I don't plan on getting wet, you know, but we took all the stuff, first aid kit, fire starting stuff, extra towels, blankets, everything was stowed in there. Kayaking down the river, which was fine, you know, the water was really moving, we're just cruising right along, and coming up to the dam, there's a lot of people fishing, some kids playing on the dam and all that, and I'm like, okay, let's do this gracefully so that, you know, we don't draw attention to ourselves. And as we're kayaking up by the boat landing, or the dam, there's an area where you can portage. All of a sudden, some little kids start playing right as we're about to beach. And one of us got distracted. The boat turned sideways so they wouldn't hit the little kid. They got caught in the current. The current took them right around, put them right up against the side of the dam, and rolled. And all I saw was going up against the side of the dam and roll, and don't know if they're stuck under there or whatever. I just beached right away, jumped out of the boat, thought I could just, you know, go help or whatever. And as soon as I came around the embankment of the dam, that, you know, 1,300, 1,400 cubic feet per second just sucked you right through. I was had enough to grab onto the tip of the kayak and help pull it through the dam. But we got shot out of the dam, you know, floating down, had life jackets on, and thankfully there were people fishing on the other side of the dam that was able to grab us as the water's just shooting, you know, you're going down as fast as you can. Lost one kayak, went down the river, the paddle went down the river, shoe went down the river. My kayak was still on shore, so we went up and got that. And I can tell you know, it was 4 in the afternoon in March. You know, the sun's starting to go down, you're soaking wet. I can tell you one thing, fleece is awesome because I had on my Lefevre jacket, my fleece, you know, that some of you guys have, for the next 2 hours while we walked the bank of the river to find the other kayak. While the other one went down the river to find the kayak, the other kayak. You know, I walked the bank looking for the paddles and all that, but even though I was wet, you run out the water and I was warm. It was amazing. Some people on the shore asked, you know, are you looking for a kayak? Yeah, well, we just saw it go down the river. They were thankful enough that they kind of followed us, got us into their cars, drove us back down to Burlington, which, you know, would have taken another hour and a half, 2 hours by kayak. And by the time we got the boats on the car and everything, it was dark. You know, we were wet Although at that point, once we found the other kayak, we were able to get into some dry clothes and all that. But just those things that, you know, I don't plan on getting wet. But in an instant, some little kid, you didn't want to hit him, and all of a sudden you got this disaster on your hands. You know, thank God the gates on the dam were completely open. I shot through without touching anything, you know. So those are just, anyone else have stories of disasters that happened, but everything came out good? You know, it's a story that I don't want to have to relive it, but you know, it's a good example of how quick things happen, how fast and how strong water is, how what could have been a nice day turned into something that's tragic. You know, we did draw a lot of attention to ourselves when people are fishing, and all of a sudden they're like, you know, and out you shoot. So, any other stories? You don't have to top that one, just. No one's had any problems at Boundary Waters, or?
Yeah, my troop had one a few years ago. I wasn't on it. It predates me, but one of the adults that went with our Boundary Waters group threw out his back on day one. And so all the rest of the crew had to pick up every bit of load that it was able to, with healthy doses of ibuprofen. They didn't have to cancel the trip or call for an evac for him, but you know, all the rest of that load, the other guys had to carry. I think when you talk about bears, Porcupine Mountains, we're up on the ridge camping, and you'd think there's no way an animal could come up that. I had a bear cub come up an embankment, basically up the side of a cliff. That just right up there to visit us for breakfast. You know, what can you do? Hope that Mama's not too far away, or that she's not
Far enough.
irritated, and drive them off, scare them off, and make sure you keep a clean place. That's it.
We even went to the Boundary Waters this last fall too, with my son and some of his friends from school and that. And once we got there, found out that 3 of them had never been camping before. And now you're in the Boundary Waters. And I asked my son, I go, he goes, yeah, they told me they did, but 2 of them didn't have sleeping bag, or not sleeping bags, ground cloths or flip-flops they show up in, and it's like, okay, now we got a portage. So, we had to scramble to find them another pair of shoes that Becky had here that we could loan them, and no air mattress or anything. And, at the Boundary Waters, everything's tree roots. So they had that, but trying to teach them about bear bags and things like that, and then come to realize that it's not so much the bears you have to worry about, it's we woke up one morning and we heard it sounded like someone was taking boulders and dropping them next to your tent, just a thump, thump. Well, you get out and it's a little chipmunk chewing off the pine cones, and they're hitting the ground from 30 feet up. And it's not the bears you have to worry, it's the chipmunks that are gonna get into your bags and your backpacks and everything else, more so than the bear. Yeah, the bears will come around, but the chipmunks are everywhere, and you really don't pay attention, but they'll gnaw through your backpack or whatever you have, your tent or whatever, to get to the food. So those are the things you have to worry about, as well as the big bears. But they kind of hear you, and they'll stay off at a distance for the most part.
I'd just share